Clara's knees hit frozen ground. Snow soaked through her dress. She couldn't feel it. Couldn't feel anything except the weight of her baby going still against her chest. "Please." She pounded the church door. "My children are dying." The lock clicked, bolted from inside. Behind her, 7 small figures huddled together. The youngest ones had stopped crying hours ago. That scared her more than the cold. Every door in Bitter Creek had closed against them tonight. Every single one. If this story grips your heart, subscribe now and follow Clara's journey to the end. Drop a comment telling me which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. The baby hadn't moved in 2 hours. Clara pressed her ear to Joseph's chest. 1 heartbeat. 2. 3. Still alive. Barely. "Mama!" Samuel's voice cut through the wind. "We gotta move!" She knew that. God help her, she knew. The church steps were slick with ice. Through the window, Reverend Whitfield watched them. Then he pulled the curtain shut. "Mama!" Samuel again, harder. "Ben ain't breathing right." Clara turned. Her children stood in a ragged line. Mary Catherine had the little ones pressed against her. Ruth stood apart, fists clenched. The twins clutched each other, lips blue. And Benjamin, 12 years old, bent double, every breath rattling like stones in a tin cup. "I know, Sam." "Then what do we do?" She had no answer. 3 days walking through snow, 2 nights in a frozen barn, 1 day in Bitter Creek, and every door had slammed shut. No room. Can't help you. A widow with 8 children. Lord, we can barely feed ourselves. And the worst one, the one that still burned. Should have kept your legs closed then. "There's one more place." Clara stood. Her legs shook. When had she eaten last? She'd given everything to the children. "The saloon." Samuel's jaw tightened. "Mama, you can't. Watch me. Let me go instead." "No." "Mama." I said no. She gripped his shoulder. Felt bone under his coat. When had her boy gotten so thin? "You stay with them. Whatever happens, Sam. You stay." She didn't wait for an answer. The saloon doors swung open. Heat hit her like a slap. Whiskey smell. Tobacco. Sweat. Every head turned. Clara walked straight to the bar. The bartender was a big man. Red face. Mean eyes. "Please," she said. "I need help." His gaze dropped to the bundle on her chest, traveled up, took in the ice in her hair, the blue on her lips. "This ain't a charity house, ma'am." "I got 8 children outside, freezing. One can barely breathe." She kept her voice steady. "I ain't asking for much, just a corner, somewhere warm till morning." 8. A man at the nearest table laughed. "What kind of woman drags 8 young'uns through a blizzard?" "The kind who ain't got a choice." "Where's your husband?" "Dead." The word dropped like a stone. Laughter died. "Listen, ma'am." The bartender leaned in. "I got a business. Can't have a pack of kids scaring off customers." "My baby is dying." Clara slammed her palm on the bar. "My 12-year-old can't breathe. My little ones ain't eaten since yesterday. I walked 3 days through hell, and every Christian in this town looked at me like I was dirt." She leaned closer. "I ain't asking you to save us. I'm asking you not to kill us." Silence. Boots scraped. A man stood up in the corner. Heavy coat, silver badge, sheriff. "Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to leave." Clara's stomach dropped. "Sheriff, please. You're causing trouble." He walked toward her. "I'll show you out." "And then what?" "Where do I go?" "Ain't my problem." Clara stared at him. His fed belly, his clean clothes, his badge. "My children," she said slowly, "are outside, dying. Shouldn't have brought 'em into a storm then." Something snapped. Clara grabbed his arm. You listen to me. I didn't choose to have my husband crushed in a mine. Didn't choose to have his brother steal everything we owned. Didn't choose to walk across Wyoming with nothing but rags. But I'm here. And my children are out there. And if you think, get your hands off me. Make me. The sheriff's hand went to his belt. Clara. The voice came from the doorway. Deep. Quiet. Cut through everything. Everyone turned. A man stood there. Tall, broad shoulders. Dark coat covered in snow. Hat pulled low. The sheriff stepped back. Brennan, this ain't your concern. Didn't say it was. The man didn't move. Asked a question, though. She Clara McAllister. Clara's blood went cold. She didn't know this man. Never seen him before. But he knew her name. Who's asking? He took off his hat. Dark hair shot with gray. Eyes the color of wet earth. Tom Brennan, your husband wrote to me. The room went dead quiet. William? Clara's voice cracked. William wrote to you. We served together. Antietam. He held the hat against his chest. He asked me to look after his family if anything happened. I'm sorry I'm late, ma'am. Took a while to find you. The bartender made a noise. You know this woman Brennan? Know of her. Tom's eyes swept the room, landed on the sheriff. Heard her begging for help. Heard you say no. Now hold on. Heard you call her dying children not your problem. His voice dropped. That how we do things in Bitter Creek now, Sheriff? Let babies freeze while we drink whiskey. The sheriff's face went white. Brennan, I don't want trouble. Then don't start none. Tom looked at Clara. Ma'am, I got a wagon outside. Blankets. Food. My place is 5 miles out. It's warm and there's room for everyone. Clara couldn't move. This had to be a trick. I don't know you. No, ma'am. Why would you help us? Something flickered across his face. Old pain. Your husband pulled me out from under a pile of dead men at Antietam. Carried me 1/2 mile to the surgeon's tent. He paused. Told him I'd pay it back. This is me paying. Clara's eyes burned. William never talked about the war. Never mentioned the men he saved. He never said anything about you. Wouldn't expect him to. Will wasn't much for talking. No. Her voice broke. No, he wasn't. They looked at each other. Two strangers connected by a dead man's word. Joseph stirred against her chest, made a sound. Weak but alive. Clara made her choice. My children. They're by the church. Tom nodded. Let's go get 'em. They walked fast. Clara's feet were numb, but she didn't care. You really knew William? Well, as any man knows another when they're both trying not to die. Tom's breath fogged the air. He talked about you, his Clara. Said you were the stubbornest woman in 3 territories. A sound escaped her. Almost a laugh. He wasn't wrong. Said you had a passel of young'uns. Back then, just 4. Sam, Mary, Ben, Ruth. Clara's chest ached. Ruth was a baby when he enlisted. He missed y'all something fierce. Then why'd he go? She hadn't meant to ask, but the question had lived in her for years. Tom was quiet a moment. Some men go to war because they got something to prove. Some because they got nothing to lose. He paused. Will went because he couldn't live with himself if he didn't. Called it his duty. Clara wiped her eyes. Tears froze on her cheeks. He came back different, broken. We all did, ma'am. Every last one of us. They reached the church. Samuel stepped forward immediately, putting himself between Clara and the stranger. Who's this? Sam, it's all right. Who is he? Tom met the boy's eyes. Didn't flinch. Name's Tom Brennan. Served with your pa. Pa's dead. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry don't feed nobody. Sam. Clara's voice sharpened, but Tom shook his head. Boy's right to be careful. He looked at Samuel straight on. You been taking care of him, ain't you? Your ma, the little ones, doing a man's job. Samuel said nothing. That's hard, being the man when you're still a boy. Tom reached inside his coat, pulled out a folded paper. Your pa wrote me this letter, year before he died, his handwriting. You can check. Samuel took it like it might explode, unfolded it. His eyes moved across the page. Clara watched her son's face crack. 16 years of holding everything together, finally breaking. He knew. Samuel's voice was barely a whisper. He knew he was gonna die. I don't think he knew for certain, but he wanted to be ready. Tom's voice gentled. Wanted to know y'all would be taken care of. Samuel folded the letter, pressed it to his chest. When he looked up, his eyes were wet, but his voice was steady. What are you offering? Roof, warm beds, food. Tom nodded toward the end of the street. A wagon waited there, 2 horses stamping in the cold. My place ain't fancy, but it's solid. For how long? Long as you need. Mary Catherine stepped forward, 14 years old with her mother's sharp eyes. What do you want in return? Tom looked at her with the same respect he'd given Samuel. Nothing you ain't willing to give. I got a ranch needs working, plenty of chores, but nobody does nothing they don't choose. Ruth shoved through to the front. 10 years old, all fire. Why should we believe you? Ruth, Clara started. No, Mama. Everybody in this town looked at us like trash. Why's he different? Tom crouched down, eye level with her. You ever seen a horse that's been beat? Ruth blinked. What? A horse that's been hit too many times. Flinches when you reach for it. Don't matter if you're helping or hurting, it flinches. His voice was low. Y'all been hit a lot lately. Makes sense you'd flinch. I ain't asking you to trust me. Just asking you to let me get you through the night. Ruth stared at him, then nodded, sharp. Fine, but you try anything, I'll bite you. Something almost like a smile crossed Tom's face. I'll remember that. Little Daniel tugged Clara's sleeve, 5 years old, shaking like a leaf. Mama is the man gonna hurt us. Clara looked at Tom, at his steady hands, his patient eyes. No, baby, I don't think he is. You promise? She couldn't promise. Couldn't promise anything anymore. I think we're gonna be okay. Eliza, one of the twins, spoke up. Mama, I'm so cold. I know, sweetheart. My feet hurt. I know. Tom was already moving toward the wagon. Let's get 'em loaded up. Sooner we move, sooner they're warm. Getting everyone in took time. The children were stiff, clumsy with cold. Tom lifted the little ones like they weighed nothing. Settled them in the wagon bed where blankets were piled thick. Benjamin went last. Tom paused when he heard the breathing. How long he had that cough? 3 days. Clara's throat tightened. Getting worse. Tom's jaw set. He wrapped Ben in an extra blanket, placed him in the sheltered corner. I know a doc. Send for him once we get home. Clara nodded. Words wouldn't come. Tom offered his hand to help her up. His palm was rough, warm. She took it. Thank you. He didn't say you're welcome, just looked at her with those steady eyes and nodded once. Then he climbed up beside her and took the reins. Walk on. The wagon lurched forward. Behind them, Bitter Creek got smaller. The church spire, the locked doors, the faces that looked away. Clara didn't look back. Snow fell harder as they rode, thick flakes catching in Clara's hair. Joseph woke halfway through, started crying thin, weak wails. He's hungry, Clara said. Tom reached under the seat, handed her a canteen and a small sack. Water, dried apples, might help. She chewed an apple slice soft, let Joseph suck the sweetness from her finger. His crying stopped. His tiny hand gripped her tight. "Thank you," she whispered. Behind them, the children had fallen asleep, even Samuel, who'd fought it longest. "Your boy Sam," Tom said quietly. "Looks just like William." Clara's heart clenched. "Acts like him too. Stubborn. Proud. Good qualities. He's 16. I was his age when I enlisted." Tom's hands were steady on the reins. "Didn't feel 16 for long after that." Clara studied his profile. Hard jaw. Deep lines around his eyes. "How old are you?" 44. "You don't look it. War ages you inside. Keeps the outside pickled." He almost smiled. God's got a mean sense of humor. Clara surprised herself by laughing. Just a small sound, but real. They rode in silence for a while. Snow falling. Horses steady. "Can I ask you something?" Clara finally said. "You can ask." "Why are you really doing this?" Tom didn't answer right away. "Told you. Made a promise. That was years ago. You could have forgotten. I ain't most men." "I noticed." Another silence. Longer. "I got my reasons," Tom said finally. "Ain't ready to talk about 'em yet. That gonna be a problem." Clara thought about it. About all the men who'd made promises and broken them. All the hands that reached out and then turned to fists. "No," she said. "Reckon we all got things we ain't ready to talk about." Tom glanced at her. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. "Fair enough." The ranch came through the snow like a dream. Sturdy house, smoke rising from the chimney. Big barn, fences running straight across white fields. "Home," Tom said. Clara stared. Warm light glowed in the windows. "It's beautiful." "It's 4 walls and a roof. Ain't much." But there was something in his voice. Pride. Maybe hope. He pulled up to the house, jumped down, started waking the children gently. "Come on now. Inside where it's warm." The children stirred, blinked, looked around with confusion, turning to wonder. "Is this real?" Eliza whispered. "Real as anything," Tom said. "Come on, little one." One by one they climbed out. Samuel helped the younger ones. Mary Catherine carried Daniel, who clung to her neck. Tom unlocked the front door, held it wide. "Go on in. Fire's going. Kitchen's in back, bread butter stew I can heat up." The children filed past. Ruth touched the wall like she expected it to vanish. Clara went last, Joseph against her chest. She paused in the doorway. "I don't know how to repay you." "Didn't ask for payment." "That's what scares me." Tom's expression softened, just a little. "Get some rest, Mrs. McAllister. Figure the rest out in the morning." He tipped his hat, went to tend the horses. Clara watched him go, snow falling between them. Then she turned and walked into the light. Tug. The house was warm, solid, real. Clara fed the children. Bread and butter first, then hot stew that made them moan with relief. They ate like they'd forgotten what food was. Tom came back and stomping snow off his boots. He didn't sit with them, just leaned against the doorframe watching. "There's beds upstairs," he said. "Fresh sheets. The big room's got 3 beds pushed together, should fit the young'uns." "Where will you sleep?" "Got a room in the barn. Use it when I'm up with sick animals." "You don't have to." "I know." His eyes met hers. "Figured you'd rest easier with some space. First night and all." Clara's throat tightened. When was the last time a man had thought about what she needed? "Thank you." Tom nodded, grabbed his coat. "I'll send for Doc Shaw first thing, for the boy's cough." He paused at the door. "Lock up behind me if you want. I won't take offense." Then he was gone. Clara sat there a long moment. The children were drooping eyes, heavy bellies full, for the first time in days. "Mama," Mary Catherine's voice was soft. "Is this really happening?" "I think so, baby." "Are we safe?" Clara looked around. At the solid walls, the warm fire, the door she could lock. I think maybe we are. Samuel hadn't spoken since they came in. Now he looked up. I don't trust him. I know. He could be lying. About Pa. About everything. He could be. Then why'd we come? Clara reached over, touched her son's face. So young, so tired. Because we were out of choices, Sam. And sometimes, you gotta take a chance on somebody. And if he's bad, then we leave. First sign of trouble, we leave. She held his eyes. But I don't think he is. I think he's just a man who made a promise and meant to keep it. Samuel was quiet. Then he nodded. I'll keep watch tonight. Sam. Just in case, Mama. Just in case. She didn't argue. Knew he needed to do it. Needed to feel like he was protecting them. All right, but you wake me if anything happens. Anything at all. Yes, ma'am. Clara got the children upstairs. The big room was exactly like Tom said, 3 beds pushed together covered in quilts that smelled like cedar and sunshine. The little ones were asleep before their heads hit the pillows. Clara lay down with the baby on her chest. Listened to the wind outside. The creak of the house settling. For the first time in months, she wasn't cold. For the first time in years, she felt something that might have been hope. She didn't know she'd fallen asleep until a sound woke her. Voices. Outside. Clara's eyes snapped open. The room was dark. Moon through the window. She eased out of bed. Crept to the window. Tom was in the yard. Another man on horseback. The sheriff from town. Their voices carried through the glass. None of your business, Brennan. I'm making it my business. That woman's trouble. Everywhere she goes, bad luck follows. Her husband dead, her land taken. Now she shows up here. She showed up because every good Christian in Bitter Creek turned her away. There's talk. There's always talk. People are saying things about you taking in a widow with 8 kids, a woman you don't know. I know enough. The sheriff leaned forward in his saddle. I'm warning you, Brennan. Folks ain't happy. They think maybe she brought something bad with her. Think maybe it'll spread. And what do you think, Sheriff? Silence. I think you're a fool. And when this blows up in your face, don't come crying to me. Tom stepped closer to the horse. His voice dropped, but Clara could still hear. Get off my land. And if I catch you or anyone else coming around here to make trouble for that woman and her children, I'll make sure you regret it. The sheriff's face twisted, but he turned his horse. Your funeral, Brennan. Remember I warned you. He rode off into the dark. Tom stood there watching him go. Then he turned and looked straight at Clara's window. Their eyes met through the glass. He didn't wave, didn't smile, just nodded once. Then he walked back to the barn. Clara stood there, heart pounding. The sheriff's words echoed in her head. Bad luck follows her. Something bad. It'll spread. She'd heard it before, in every town, at every door. But Tom had defended her, stood up for her, threatened a lawman for her. Why? What did he really want? And what had the sheriff meant when this blows up? Clara looked at her children sleeping peaceful for the first time in weeks. She'd found shelter. Found warmth. Found someone willing to help. But she'd been saved before. And every time there'd been a price. Outside the wind picked up. Snow swirled against the window. And somewhere in the dark, she could have sworn she heard hoofbeats. More than one horse. Heading toward town. Clara pressed her hand to the glass. Whatever was coming, it wasn't over. It was just beginning. Clara didn't sleep the rest of that night. She sat by the window watching the dark, listening. The hoofbeats had faded, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was out there. Waiting. When dawn broke gray and cold, she was already dressed. The children stirred one by one. Daniel first crying from a nightmare. Then the twins tangled together like puppies. Ruth sat up, sharp eyes scanning the room like she expected enemies. We're still here, Clara said softly. We're safe. Ruth didn't look convinced. Samuel hadn't slept either. Clara found him downstairs by the front window, the letter from his father clutched in his hand. You should rest, she said. Can't. Sam? I heard him last night. He turned to face her, dark circles under his eyes. The sheriff. What he said about you. Clara's chest tightened. You shouldn't have been listening. Somebody's gotta. Samuel's jaw set. He said bad luck follows you. Said folks ain't happy we're here. Folks ain't ever happy about anything. This is different, Mama. The way he talked? Samuel shook his head. We should leave, before whatever's coming catches up. And go where? Clara kept her voice steady. Back on the road. Back to freezing. Ben can barely breathe, Sam. Joseph ain't strong enough for another day in the cold. So we just stay here, with a man we don't know, in a town that wants us gone. For now, yes. Samuel's face twisted. Pa trusted him. Wrote him that letter. But Pa's been wrong before. The words hit Clara like a slap. She knew what he meant. William had been wrong about the mine, wrong about his brothers, wrong about so many things that had led them here. Your father did the best he could. His best got him killed and left us with nothing. Samuel McAllister. Clara's voice went sharp. You don't speak about your father that way. Why not? It's true. They stared at each other. Mother and son. Both stubborn. Both scared. The front door opened. Tom stepped in stomping snow off his boots. He stopped when he saw their faces. Everything all right? Fine, Clara said quickly. Samuel said nothing, just folded the letter and shoved it in his pocket. Tom looked between them, didn't push. Doc Shaw's on his way, should be here within the hour. He hung his coat by the door. There's hot coffee in the kitchen, biscuits warming in the oven. Clara nodded. Thank you. How's the boy, Benjamin? Coughing all night, couldn't catch his breath around 3. Tom's expression darkened. Doc'll fix him up. Shaw's the best in the territory. Samuel made a noise. Skeptical. Tom looked at him. You got something to say, son? I ain't your son. The air went cold. Clara opened her mouth to intervene, but Tom held up a hand. You're right. You ain't. His voice was calm. But you're in my house, and in my house we speak our minds straight. So if you got a problem, say it. Samuel's chin lifted. I don't trust you. Fair enough. I don't trust anybody who does something for nothing. Also fair. So what do you want? Really? Tom was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled out a chair, sat down, gestured for Samuel to do the same. Samuel didn't move. I'm going to tell you something, Tom said. Something I ain't told your mama yet. Figured you earned it staying up all night to protect your family. Clara's heart stuttered. Tom. It's all right. He kept his eyes on Samuel. 7 years ago, I had a wife, Margaret, and a daughter, Lily. She was 4. Samuel's face didn't change, but something in his stance shifted. Fever came through that winter. Took half the territory. Mags went first. Lily held on 3 more days. Tom's voice stayed steady, but Clara saw his hands tighten on his knees. I buried him out back, under the cottonwood. The kitchen went silent. After that, I wasn't right for a while. Drank too much. Let the place fall apart. Almost put a bullet in my own head more than once. Clara's breath caught. Then I got your pa's letter. Read it over and over. Something about it. Woke me up, I guess. Here was a man worrying about his family, making plans to keep him safe even after he was gone. And here I was, wasting the life I still had. Tom looked up at Samuel. So, what do I want? I want to do what I couldn't do for my own family. Keep somebody safe. Give these walls a purpose again." He paused. "That's it. That's all." Samuel's throat worked. "How do I know you ain't lying?" "You don't. That's the hell of it." Tom stood. "Trust ain't something I can make you feel. You gotta decide for yourself. But while you're deciding, know this. I ain't gonna hurt your mama or your brothers and sisters. I'd die first." He walked past Samuel toward the door. "I'll be in the barn. Doc should be here soon. Come get me when he arrives." The door closed behind him. Samuel stood frozen. Clara could see the war on his face. "Mama." "I know." She put her hand on his arm. "I know. He lost everything. Like us. Seems that way. You think he's telling the truth?" Clara thought about the way Tom had stood up to the sheriff. The way he'd given them his house and taken the barn. The way he looked at the children not with pity, but with something deeper. "Yeah," she said quietly. "I think he is." Samuel let out a breath. "Don't mean I trust him. Don't mean you have to. Not yet." He nodded, looked toward the door. "I'm gonna go check on Ben." "Sam." Clara caught his sleeve. "Whatever happens, we're in this together. You and me. Always." Something in his face softened. Just a little. "Always, Mama." He headed upstairs. Clara stood alone in the kitchen, coffee going cold in her hands. Outside, the wind howled. But inside, for the first time in months, something felt steady. The doctor arrived an hour later. Henry Shaw was a tall man, thin as a fence post with kind eyes and hands that shook slightly. Not from age, Clara realized, but from too much whiskey the night before. Still, when he examined Benjamin, those hands went steady as stone. "Lung fever," he said finally. "Caught early enough, thank the Lord. Another day or two in that cold." He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. "Can you help him?" Clara's voice barely held. "Already am." Doc Shaw pulled bottles from his bag, measured out powders. "This for the fever, this for the cough, and this—" He held up a small brown bottle. "For sleeping. Boy needs rest more than anything." "Will he be all right?" Doc Shaw looked at her. Really looked. "You want the truth or comfort?" "Truth." "He'll live, but his lungs are weak, always will be. No more hard winters for this one. No more sleeping in barns." He packed up his bag. "He needs warmth, good food, peace." Clara's eyes burned. "We ain't had much of any of that lately." "I noticed." Doc Shaw's voice gentled. "Tom told me what happened. In town. The doors that closed. Word travels fast. Small town." He stood. Hesitated. "For what it's worth, Mrs. McAllister, not everyone in Bitter Creek is like that. Some of us remember what it's like to need help and not find it." "Then where were you last night?" The words came out sharper than she meant. Doc Shaw flinched. "I was drunk," he said quietly, "like I am most nights since my wife passed. It ain't an excuse, just the truth." Clara felt her anger drain away. Everyone had their grief. Everyone had their poison. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. You got every right to be angry." He picked up his bag. "I'll be back tomorrow to check on the boy. Tom knows how to reach me if things get worse." "What do I owe you?" Doc Shaw paused at the door. "Nothing. I can't. Tom already settled it." He tipped his hat. "Take care of those young'uns, Mrs. McAllister. They're lucky to have a mother like you." Then he was gone. Clara sat by Benjamin's bed for a long time, watching him breathe, counting each rise and fall of his thin chest. Lucky. The word echoed in her head. She didn't feel lucky. She felt like a woman barely keeping her head above water, waiting for the next wave to drag her under. But Ben was alive. The children were warm. They had food and shelter, and a man who, for reasons she still didn't fully understand, seemed determined to protect them. Maybe that was luck. Maybe that was enough. Mary Catherine appeared in the doorway. "Mama, Mr. Brennan's asking if we want lunch." Clara wiped her eyes. "Tell him we'll be down soon." "Is Ben gonna be okay?" "Doctor says so." Mary Catherine nodded, but she didn't leave. "Mama, what is it, sweetheart? I like it here." The words came out small, almost guilty. "Is that wrong?" Clara's heart cracked. "No, baby, that ain't wrong at all." Mary Catherine's shoulders relaxed. "Ruth says we shouldn't get comfortable, says it won't last." "Ruth says a lot of things. She's scared. We all are." Clara held out her hand. "Come here." Mary Catherine crossed the room, sat on the edge of the bed. Clara pulled her close. "Listen to me. Whatever happens next, we're gonna face it together, all of us. And if this place ends up being safe, then we're gonna let ourselves feel safe. We ain't gonna live in fear just because we're used to it. You promise?" Clara kissed her daughter's forehead. "I promise." The days that followed fell into a rhythm. Clara woke before dawn, made breakfast, sent the children to their chores, feeding chickens, gathering eggs, sweeping the porch. Tom had been right about there being plenty of work. The little ones took to it like ducks to water. Daniel followed Tom around like a shadow, asking questions about everything. The twins competed to see who could collect more eggs. Even Ruth, suspicious as she was, couldn't hide her pride when she learned to milk the cow without spilling. Samuel was harder. He did what was asked, but he kept his distance from Tom, watched him constantly, waited for the mask to slip. But the mask never slipped. Because there was no mask. Tom was exactly what he seemed, a man with too much space and too much silence, grateful to have both filled. Clara saw it in the way he taught Samuel to mend fences. Patient, never raising his voice, showing the same knot 3 times, 4 times, 5 times until the boy got it right. She saw it in the way he carried Daniel on his shoulders across the yard, the child's laughter ringing out like bells. She saw it in the way he sat with Benjamin every evening, reading aloud from a battered book of adventure stories, his deep voice filling the sick room. And she saw it in the way he looked at her. Not hungry, not demanding, just there, present, seeing her. It terrified her. On the 4th night, Clara couldn't sleep. She went downstairs to make tea and found Tom at the kitchen table staring at a photograph. He looked up when she entered, didn't try to hide the picture. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked. "Ben's cough woke me. He's settled now." She moved to the stove, put the kettle on, tried not to look at the photograph in his hands. "You can ask," Tom said quietly. Clara turned. "Ask what? About them." He held up the picture. "I know you're curious." She hesitated, then sat across from him. The photograph showed a woman with dark hair and a serious face, pretty in a quiet way, and a little girl on her lap, all curls and mischief. "Margaret and Lily," Tom said. "Mags hated having her picture taken, said it stole a piece of your soul. Lily loved it, would pose for hours if you let her." "She has your eyes." "Had." The word was soft. "She had my eyes." Clara's chest ached. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. It's all right." Tom set the photograph down. "I keep it where I can see it. Remind myself they were real. Sometimes. Sometimes I start to forget the little things. The sound of Lily's laugh, the way Mags hummed while she cooked. I don't want to forget." "You won't." "You sure about that?" Clara thought about William, how his face had started to blur in her memory, how she sometimes couldn't remember the exact sound of his voice. "No," she admitted. "I ain't sure, but I think the love stays, even when the details fade. The love stays." Tom looked at her. Something passed between them. Recognition. Understanding. "How long since your husband passed?" 2 years, give or take." "Miss him?" Clara considered the question, really considered it. I miss who he was before the war, the man I married. She paused. The man who came back. I loved him, but I didn't always know him. War does that. So people keep telling me. Tom was quiet for a moment. Then, Will talked about you all the time, in camp, on the march, said you were the strongest person he ever knew, said he didn't deserve you. Clara's eyes burned. He said that more than once. Said he knew he was broken. Said he was sorry he couldn't fix himself. But he never stopped loving you. Not for 1 second. A tear slipped down Clara's cheek. She wiped it away. I wish he'd told me, instead of just pulling away. Men are stupid that way. We think we're protecting you by hiding. Don't realize we're just making it worse. You speaking from experience? Tom's mouth twisted. Mags used to say I had the emotional range of a fence post. She wasn't wrong. Clara laughed. It surprised her, the sound coming out rusty and strange. Tom's eyes warmed. That's the first time I've heard you laugh. Been a while since I had reason to. Maybe that'll change. Their eyes met. Held. Clara felt something shift in her chest. Something dangerous. The kettle whistled. She stood quickly, turned to the stove. Her hands were shaking. I should get back to bed. Clara. She froze. It was the first time he'd used her name. Just her name without the Mrs. or ma'am. Yeah. I ain't asking for anything. Want you to know that. His voice was low, careful. Whatever's between us, if there's anything between us, it moves at your pace, not mine. Clara gripped the kettle handle, didn't turn around. What if I don't know what my pace is? Then we figure it out, together, no rush. She closed her eyes, let out a breath. You're a good man, Tom Brennan. I'm a man who's trying. That's all any of us can do. Clara poured her tea, finally turned to face him. Thank you. For everything. The shelter, the food, the doctor for Ben. She paused. For not giving up on us. Tom stood, picked up his photograph. Thank you for giving this place a reason to exist again. He walked past her toward the door, stopped. Get some sleep, Clara. Tomorrow's gonna be busy. Why, what's tomorrow? Something flickered across his face. Worry, maybe. Doc Shaw sent word. The Reverend's been talking, stirring folks up. Says I'm harboring a fallen woman and her brood. Clara's blood went cold. What? Don't worry about it tonight. We'll handle it in the morning. Tom, I mean it. His voice hardened. Whatever they throw at us, we face it together. You ain't alone in this. Not anymore. Then he was gone. Clara stood in the empty kitchen, heart pounding. The Reverend. The same man who'd locked the church doors while her children froze. Now he was spreading lies, turning the town against her, against Tom. She thought about running, packing up the children and disappearing before dawn, sparing Tom whatever was coming. But she was so tired of running, and something he'd said kept echoing in her head. Together. You ain't alone, not anymore. When was the last time someone had said that to her and meant it? Clara finished her tea, washed the cup, dried it carefully, and put it away. Then she climbed the stairs to check on her children. Benjamin was sleeping peaceful, his breathing easier than it had been in days. The little ones were tangled together under the quilts, warm and safe. Ruth had kicked off her blankets. She always ran hot, but her face was relaxed for once. Not angry, not scared. Just a 10-year-old girl dreaming. And Samuel. Samuel was sitting up in the corner, watching the window. You should sleep, Clara whispered. Can't. He looked at her. Heard you talking. Downstairs. Sam? The Reverend's coming for us, ain't he? Clara didn't lie. Sounds like it. Then we fight. We don't even know what we're fighting yet. Don't matter. Samuel's jaw set. That man gave us shelter when nobody else would. If the town wants to make trouble for him because of us, then we stand with him. We don't run." Clara looked at her son. 16 years old, exhausted, scared, but not broken. Never broken. "When did you get so grown?" she whispered. "Somewhere between the mine and the blizzard, I reckon." Clara crossed the room, kissed his forehead. "Get some sleep. Whatever's coming, we need our strength." "Yes, ma'am." She went to the window, looked out at the dark. Somewhere out there, Reverend Whitfield was plotting. The sheriff was waiting. The whole town was buzzing with whispers and lies. But here in this house, her children were warm. Here, a man she barely knew had offered them everything and asked for nothing. Here, for the first time in years, Clara felt something like hope. She wasn't going to let anyone take that away, not without a fight. The morning came cold and bright. Clara was making breakfast when she heard the horses. Not one, not two, at least a dozen. She moved to the window. Her heart stopped. A group of riders was coming up the road. At the front, Reverend Whitfield in his black coat. Behind him, the sheriff. And behind them, a crowd of townspeople. Men with hard faces, women with harder ones. "Tom." He was already coming through the back door, rifle in hand. "I see him." "What do we do?" Tom looked at her. His face was calm, steady. "We go out there. We hear what they got to say. And we don't back down." "Tom, there's too many." "Mama!" Samuel appeared on the stairs. He saw the riders through the window. His face went pale. "What's happening?" "Stay inside," Clara said. "Keep the children upstairs." "But—" "Samuel, do as I say." He hesitated, then nodded. Clara turned back to Tom. "I'm going with you." "Clara." "They're here because of me. I ain't hiding while you face them alone." Something flashed in Tom's eyes. Respect, maybe. Or fear. "All right, stay close. Don't let 'em rattle you." They walked out onto the porch together. The riders stopped at the gate. Reverend Whitfield urged his horse forward. "Thomas Brennan." "Reverend." Tom's voice was flat. "Little early for a social call." "This ain't social." The Reverend's eyes slid to Clara. Cold, judging. "We're here about her." "What about her?" "She needs to go. Her and all them children." Tom didn't move. "And why's that?" "She's a corrupting influence. A widow with 8 children and no husband. Living under your roof." The Reverend's lip curled. "The whole town's talking. It ain't decent." Clara stepped forward. "There ain't nothing indecent about a mother trying to keep her children alive." "You'll speak when spoken to, woman." Tom's hand shot out, caught Clara's arm, not rough, just steady. "She'll speak when she damn well pleases." His voice dropped. "And if you came all this way to insult a woman who's done nothing wrong, you can turn around and go home." The sheriff edged his horse forward. "Now, Tom, let's be reasonable." "Reasonable." Tom laughed. It wasn't a nice sound. "You call this reasonable, a dozen armed men showing up at dawn to threaten a woman and her babies?" "We ain't threatening," the Reverend said. "We're warning. She leaves today nice and peaceful, or things get complicated." "Complicated how?" The Reverend smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "Accidents happen on homesteads, fires, broken fences, livestock getting loose." He paused. "Be a shame if something happened to this nice place of yours." Clara felt the blood drain from her face. They weren't just trying to run her off. They were threatening to destroy everything. Tom took a step forward. His hand tightened on the rifle. "Let me make something real clear, Reverend." His voice was quiet, deadly. "This woman and her children are under my protection. Anyone who tries to hurt them, anyone who so much as looks at them wrong, will answer to me. You against the whole town, Brennan? If that's what it takes." Silence. The wind cut across the yard cold and sharp. Then a voice came from behind Clara. "He ain't alone." She spun. Samuel stood in the doorway. Behind him, Mary Catherine, Ruth. Even the twins, their small faces fierce. "We ain't leaving," Samuel said. "This is our home now. And if you try to take it from us, you'll have to go through all of us." The Reverend's face twisted. "You'd let children fight your battles, Brennan. I'd let a family stand together." Tom's eyes swept the crowd. "That's more than any of you got. Look at yourselves. Grown men and women coming to terrorize babies. What does that make you?" Someone in the back of the crowd shifted, looked down. "We just want what's right," a woman called out. "A widow shouldn't be living with a single man. It ain't proper." "Then I'll marry her." The words fell like a thunderclap. Clara's heart stopped. Tom glanced at her, just for a second, then looked back at the crowd. "That satisfy your sense of propriety. A proper marriage, proper and legal. She'll be Mrs. Brennan. The children will have a father. Everything nice and decent." The Reverend sputtered. "You can't just—" "I can and I will, unless you got an objection, Reverend. Course refusing to marry folks is a strange look for a man of God." The crowd murmured. The Reverend's face went red. "This ain't over, Brennan." "Yeah, it is." Tom raised his rifle, cocked it. "Now get off my land. All of you." The riders hesitated, looked at each other. Then slowly they began to turn. The Reverend went last. He looked at Clara with pure hatred. "You'll regret this," he said. "Both of you." "Probably," Tom said. "But that's our problem, not yours. Now get!" The Reverend wheeled his horse and rode away. The crowd followed. In 2 minutes the yard was empty. Clara stood frozen, her whole body shaking. Tom lowered his rifle, let out a breath. "Well," he said, "that was something." Clara turned to face him. "You just proposed to me." "Yeah." "In front of the whole town." "Yeah." "Without asking me first." Tom winced. "I know. I'm sorry. It just came out." Clara stared at him. This man she'd known for less than a week. This man who'd given her everything and asked for nothing. "Did you mean it?" Tom was quiet for a long moment. "I meant to keep you safe. That's all I was thinking about." He paused. "But if you're asking whether I'd be honored to marry you, yes, I would. When you're ready. If you ever are." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to say." "You don't gotta say anything. Not now." Tom reached out, touched her cheek. Gentle, like she was something precious. "We got time, Clara. All the time in the world." Behind them, the children had gathered on the porch, watching, waiting. Ruth spoke first. "Does this mean we get to stay?" Clara laughed. It came out wet broken. "Yeah, baby, I think it does." Ruth nodded, satisfied. "Good. I like the chickens." And somehow, impossibly, Clara found herself laughing harder. Tom was smiling too, a real smile, the first she'd seen from him. "Come on," he said. "Let's go inside. I'll make coffee. You can tell me all the reasons this is a terrible idea." "There's a lot of them." "I figured." He held the door open. "But we'll figure it out. Together." Together. Clara took a breath, looked at her children, at this man, at this strange, unexpected life. Then she walked through the door. Behind her, the sun broke through the clouds. For the first time in years, it felt like spring. The proposal hung in the air for 3 days. Clara didn't bring it up. Tom didn't push. They moved around each other, careful, like two people learning a new dance, neither sure who should lead. But the children had no such hesitation. "So are you going to be our new pa?" Daniel asked at breakfast, syrup dripping down his chin. Tom choked on his coffee. Clara froze spoon halfway to her mouth. "Daniel," Mary Catherine hissed, "you can't just ask that. Why not? Mr. Tom said he was going to marry Mama. I heard him. Everybody heard him." Ruth snorted. "He didn't mean it like that, dummy. He was just trying to scare off those awful people." "But he said—" Daniel! Clara's voice came out sharper than she meant. Eat your breakfast. The boy's lip trembled. I was just asking. Tom set down his coffee, cleared his throat. You got every right to ask, he said quietly. It's a fair question. Clara looked at him, warning in her eyes. Tom ignored it. The truth is, I said what I said to protect your mama, to give those folks a reason to leave you alone. He paused. But that don't mean I didn't mean it. The table went silent. I ain't trying to replace your pa, Tom continued. Nobody could do that. William was a good man, brave. He loved y'all more than anything in this world. Daniel's eyes were huge. Did you know our pa? I did. We fought together in the war. Was he a hero? Tom's jaw tightened. Yeah, son, he was. Samuel made a noise, pushed back from the table. I ain't hungry. He grabbed his coat. I'll be in the barn. The door slammed behind him. Clara started to rise, but Tom shook his head. Let him go. He's got a right to be angry. He's not angry at you. I know. He's angry at his pa for dying, angry at the world for being cruel, angry at himself for not being able to fix it. Tom's voice was heavy. I remember that anger. Had it myself for years. Clara sank back into her chair. What made it stop? It didn't stop. It just changed. Found somewhere to go? Where? Tom looked at her, something raw in his eyes. I'll let you know when I figure it out. He stood, grabbed his hat. I'll go talk to the boy, see if he'll let me. Tom. It's all right, Clara. Some things a man's got to work through with another man, even a young one. He walked out. Clara sat at the table surrounded by children who were all staring at her with various degrees of confusion and hope. Mama, Eliza's small voice. Are you going to marry Mr. Tom? Clara closed her eyes. I don't know, baby. I honestly don't know. Tom found Samuel in the barn attacking a hay bale with a pitchfork like it owed him money. He didn't say anything, just leaned against the doorframe and waited. The boy kept stabbing. Sweat ran down his face despite the cold. Finally, the pitchfork clattered to the ground. You gonna stand there all day? Samuel's voice was raw. Or you got something to say? Got nothing to say. Just thought you might want company. I don't. All right. But Tom didn't leave. Just stood there patient as stone. Samuel's shoulders started shaking. I hate him. The words came out broken, wrong. I hate him for dying, for leaving us, for making promises he couldn't keep. Samuel's fist slammed into the hay bale. He said he'd come back, said everything would be fine, and then he was just gone, crushed under 1,000 tons of rock like he was nothing. Tom didn't move. And now you show up with your letters and your promises and everybody acts like you're some kind of savior. Samuel whirled to face him, tears streaking his dusty face. But you ain't. You're just another man who's gonna leave, one way or another. They all do. Maybe? Samuel blinked. What? Maybe I'll leave. Maybe I'll die. Maybe tomorrow a beam falls on my head and that's it. Tom pushed off the doorframe, walked toward the boy. I can't promise you forever, son. Nobody can. Your pa couldn't. I can't. Then what's the point? What's the point of any of it? Tom stopped in front of him. The point is right now, today, this moment. His voice was low but fierce. I'm here now. I'm standing in front of you now, and I'm telling you, I ain't going nowhere unless God himself drags me away. Samuel's chin wobbled. You can't know that. You're right. I can't. Tom put his hand on the boy's shoulder. But I can choose it. Every day I can choose to stay, to fight, to be here for your mama and your brothers and sisters. For you. Why, you don't even know us. I'm getting to know you. That's how it works. Tom squeezed his shoulder. Your pa knew the war would kill him eventually. That's why he wrote me. He knew, and he wanted to make sure y'all were taken care of. He chose that. chose to reach out across years and miles to find someone who might help. Samuel was crying now, not sobbing, just leaking, tears running down his face like rain on a window. "I'm so tired," he whispered. "I'm so tired of being scared. I know. I don't want to be the man of the family anymore." "You don't have to be. Not alone." Samuel looked up at him. "So young. So old. You really gonna marry my mama?" Tom let out a breath. "If she'll have me. And if you'll let me. What if I say no? Then I'll wait, long as it takes. I ain't going nowhere, remember." Something cracked in Samuel's face. Not anger. Something else. Hope, maybe. Fragile and terrified. "I don't trust you," he said. "Not yet." "I know. But I want to. I think." Tom nodded, held out his hand. "That's enough for now." Samuel looked at the hand, at Tom's face, at the open door behind him where sunlight was spilling in. Then he took it. They shook once. Firm. "Come on," Tom said. "Your mama's probably worried sick. And if I know Ruth, she's already planned the whole wedding and picked out what she's gonna wear." Samuel laughed. It came out wet and strange, but real. "She's been eyeing that blue ribbon in the general store for weeks. Then maybe we'll have to get it for her, assuming the store'll sell to us." Samuel's face darkened. "You think they won't?" "I think folks do ugly things when they're scared, and right now the Reverend's got them plenty scared." "Scared of what, Mama? She ain't dangerous." "No, she ain't, but she's different, and different scares people." Tom started walking toward the house. "Come on, we got work to do." Samuel fell into step beside him. "Mr. Brennan." "Yeah." "If you hurt her, my mama, I mean I'll kill you. I ain't joking." Tom glanced at him, saw the steel in those young eyes. "I believe you," he said, "and I'd deserve it." They walked back to the house together. The next few days passed quiet, but the quiet felt wrong. Like the calm before a storm. Clara noticed it first. The way people in town looked away when she passed. The way the general store suddenly didn't have the supplies she needed. The way even Doc Shaw seemed nervous when he came to check on Benjamin. "Something's brewing," she told Tom that night. "I can feel it." "I know." "What do we do?" "Stay alert. Stay together." He handed her a cup of coffee. "And don't let the children go anywhere alone." Clara's blood went cold. "You think they'd hurt the children?" "I don't think anything. I just want to be careful." But his eyes said different. His eyes said he was scared too. The attack came 5 nights later. Clara woke to shouting, to the smell of smoke. Fire in the barn. She was out of bed before she knew she was moving. The children were screaming. Samuel was already running down the stairs half-dressed. "Get your brothers and sisters out of the house," Clara shouted. "Now!" She ran for the back door. The barn was lit up like a torch, flames licking the night sky. The horses were screaming. She could hear them trapped inside. Tom was already there fighting to open the barn doors. Smoke poured out black and thick. "Tom." He didn't turn. "Stay back." "The horses." "I'll get 'em. Stay with the children." But Clara couldn't move. Couldn't leave him. She ran toward the barn. Tom finally got the doors open. Fire roared out, hungry and alive. He staggered back, shielding his face. "The horses!" Clara screamed. "I see 'em!" Tom dove into the flames. Seconds passed, the longest of Clara's life. Then Tom emerged leading 2 terrified horses by their manes. His coat was smoking. His face was black with soot. The horses bolted past Clara, running for the open field. Tom collapsed to his knees. "Tom!" Clara was beside him in an instant. "Are you hurt? Are you burned?" He was coughing, couldn't speak, just pointed toward the barn. Clara turned. The mare. The pregnant mare still inside. "No!" Clara grabbed his arm. "Tom, no! You can't go back in there." "She'll die." "So will you?" He looked at her, his eyes red and streaming. "I ain't losing anyone else, Clara. Not tonight." Before she could stop him, he was running back into the fire. Clara screamed his name, started to follow. Strong hands grabbed her. "Samuel." "Mama, no." "Let me go. Let me." "You can't help him. You'll just get yourself killed." Clara fought, scratched, screamed, but Samuel held on. The barn roof groaned, timbers cracking. "Tom?" "Nothing." "Tom." And then, like a miracle, he came through the flames, leading the mare. They made it 10 feet before the roof collapsed. The crash was deafening. Sparks exploded into the sky. Heat washed over them like a wave. But Tom was clear. The mare was clear. They were alive. Clara broke free of Samuel's grip and ran, threw herself at Tom, wrapped her arms around him so tight she could feel his heart pounding. "You idiot!" she sobbed. "You stupid, stubborn idiot!" Tom was shaking, coughing, but his arms came around her. "Had to save her," he rasped. "Foal's coming soon. Couldn't let her burn." "You could have died." "Didn't, though." Clara pulled back, looked at his face, blistered in places, eyebrows singed, but alive, so alive. "If you ever do something that stupid again, I'll kill you myself." Tom laughed. It turned into a cough. "That's fair." Behind them, the children had gathered. Daniel was crying. Ruth was holding the twins. Mary Catherine had Joseph on her hip, her face pale with terror. And Benjamin was standing with Samuel, wheezing, but standing. They were all okay. Everyone was okay. But the barn was gone. And with it their winter supplies, their tools, everything. "Mama?" Daniel's small voice. "What happened?" Clara looked at the flames, at the destruction. "Someone did this," she said quietly. "Someone set this fire on purpose." Samuel's face went hard. "The Reverend." "Or someone working for him." Clara turned to Tom. "This is because of us. Because of me." "Don't. It's true. If you hadn't come here, I'd still be a ghost in an empty house." Tom's voice was fierce despite the hoarseness. "I'd rather lose every building on this land than go back to that." "Tom." "I mean it, Clara." He took her face in his burned hands. "I've lost things before, things that mattered more than wood and nails. This," he gestured at the burning barn, "this is nothing. You're everything." Clara stared at him. This man she'd known for weeks. This stranger who had become something else. Something more. "I'm gonna marry you," she said. Tom blinked. "What?" "I said I'm gonna marry you. Soon. Tomorrow if we can get the Reverend to—" She stopped, laughed bitterly. "Well, not that Reverend. Clara, you don't have to." "I know I don't have to. I want to." She gripped his arms. "I spent 2 years being scared, running, waiting for the next bad thing. I'm done. I'm done being afraid." Tom's eyes searched her face. "You sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." He kissed her. It wasn't gentle, wasn't careful. It was desperate and smoky and tasted like fear and survival and something new, something fierce. Behind them, Ruth made a gagging noise. "Gross." Daniel was bouncing. "Does this mean he's going to be our PA now for real?" Samuel was silent. But when Clara looked at him, he nodded. Once. Tom pulled back, his forehead against hers. "Tomorrow," he said. "We'll ride to Cedar Falls. There's a minister there. He'll marry us." "What about the town, the Reverend?" "They made their choice. Now we make ours." Clara smiled, her first real smile in what felt like forever. "Then let's do it." The fire burned until dawn. They watched it together, all of them huddled under blankets with the heat of the flames on their faces. The barn was gone, the supplies gone, but they were alive, together, and somewhere in the ashes, something new was being born. Doc Shaw arrived at first light, having seen the smoke from town. "Good Lord," he breathed, looking at the destruction. "What happened? What do you think happened?" Clara's voice was hard. "Someone wanted to send a message." Doc Shaw's face went pale. Clara, I swear I didn't know. I believe you. She softened slightly. But somebody did this, and I think we both know who's behind it. The Reverend's been preaching against you every Sunday, calling you a temptress, a curse. Doc Shaw shook his head. I've tried to reason with him, but he's got the whole town worked up. Why, what did we ever do to him? Doc Shaw was quiet for a moment. You survived, he said finally. You came here with nothing and a good man took you in and you survived. Some folks can't stand that. Makes them feel guilty for turning you away. Tom walked up his burns wrapped in cloth. So instead of admitting they were wrong, they'd rather destroy us. Human nature, I'm afraid. Doc Shaw sighed. What are you going to do? Clara and Tom looked at each other. We're getting married, Clara said. Today, if possible, in Cedar Falls. Doc Shaw's eyebrows rose. That's fast. Life's short, Tom said. Learn that the hard way. The doctor studied them both. Then slowly he smiled. Well then, congratulations. He reached into his bag. I actually came by to check on young Benjamin, but I can see you've got bigger concerns. I'll come back tomorrow. Doc, Clara caught his arm. Thank you, for everything. Don't thank me yet. His face grew serious. The Reverend won't take this lying down. Getting married might quiet some of the talk, but it'll also make him angrier. He doesn't like to lose. Neither do we, Tom said. Doc Shaw nodded. Then God help you both. He climbed back on his horse and rode away. Clara watched him go, her heart heavy. You think he's right that the Reverend won't stop? I think some men would rather burn the world down than admit they were wrong. Tom put his arm around her. But we'll face it. Together. Together. That word again. It still felt strange in her mouth. Strange, but right. Come on, she said. We've got a wedding to get to. The ride to Cedar Falls took 3 hours. They left the older children in charge of the little ones with strict instructions to stay inside and not open the door for anyone. Samuel had Tom's rifle. Mary Catherine had the shotgun. If anyone comes, Tom told them, you shoot first and ask questions later. We will, Samuel said grimly. Clara hugged each of her children, held them tight. We'll be back before dark, I promise. Mama. Benjamin's voice was thin, but stronger than it had been. Are you happy? Clara looked at Tom, at this man who had given them everything. Yeah, baby, I think I am. The minister in Cedar Falls was a round little man named Reverend Cooper. His church was small, barely more than a cabin with a cross on top, but it was warm and welcoming. He listened to their story without judgment. When they were done, he simply nodded. The Lord works in mysterious ways, he said. Sometimes he sends us angels when we least expect them. Clara wasn't sure if he meant her or Tom, maybe both. The ceremony was simple, just the two of them and Reverend Cooper's wife as witness. No flowers, no fancy clothes, no music. But when Clara said, I do, she meant it with every fiber of her being. And when Tom slipped a simple gold band on her finger, his mother's ring, he explained she felt something click into place, like a key turning in a lock, like coming home. I now pronounce you man and wife, Reverend Cooper said. You may kiss your bride. Tom cupped her face in his hands. Gentle now, reverent. Mrs. Brennan, he whispered. Mr. Brennan, she whispered back. And they kissed while the afternoon light streamed through the windows. It wasn't the wedding Clara had dreamed of as a girl. No white dress, no church full of friends and family, no feast afterward. But it was real. It was hers. And that was enough. They started home as the sun began to sink. Clara rode beside Tom, their horses picking their way carefully along the frozen road. The gold band felt strange on her finger. Strange, but right. You okay? Tom asked. More than okay. She looked at him. Thank you. For what? For being you. For taking a chance on us. Tom was quiet for a moment. I should be thanking you, he said finally. 6 months ago, I was a dead man walking, just going through the motions, waiting for it to be over. He reached across the space between their horses, took her hand. You brought me back to life, Clara. You and those children. Clara squeezed his hand, her heart so full it hurt. We saved each other. Yeah, Tom smiled, that rare, real smile that transformed his whole face. I reckon we did. They rode on in comfortable silence. The ranch came into view as the last light faded. The blackened ruins of the barn still smoked faintly, but the house was standing. Lights in the windows. Clara's heart lifted. Almost there. Almost home. Then she saw it. Horses in the yard. A dozen of them. And figures moving in the dusk. Tom saw it too. His hand went to his rifle. Clara, stay behind me. Tom. I mean it. Whatever happens, stay behind me. They rode closer. Closer. The figures came into focus. Sheriff Dawson. Reverend Whitfield. And behind them, more men than Clara could count. And in front of them, all held at gunpoint. Her children. All 8 of them huddled together, terror on their faces. Clara's scream tore through the night. My babies! Tom grabbed her arm, held her back. Easy, he breathed. Easy. The Reverend stepped forward. His smile was a knife. Welcome home, Mrs. McAllister, or should I say, Mrs. Brennan. He laughed, ugly and cold. Did you really think running off to get married would change anything? Let them go. Clara's voice shook with rage. Their children. Their leverage. The Reverend's eyes glittered. Here's how this is going to work. You're going to sign over this land to me. Every acre. Then you're going to take your brats and disappear. Forever. And if we don't... The Reverend's smile widened. Then we'll see how many children you can bury in one night. Clara's world went red. I'll kill you. Her voice didn't sound like hers. If you touch a single hair on their heads, I'll tear you apart with my bare hands. Such fire. The Reverend looked amused. I can see why Brennan likes you. Tom stepped forward, his rifle raised. Let the children go, now, and maybe I won't put a bullet between your eyes. Sheriff Dawson moved, put his gun to Samuel's head. Drop the rifle, Brennan, or the boy dies first. Clara couldn't breathe, couldn't think. All she could see was Samuel's white face, the gun pressed against his temple. Tom lowered the rifle. Good choice. The Reverend pulled papers from his coat. Now, let's make this official. Clara looked at her children, at their tear-streaked faces, at the fear in their eyes. Then she looked at Tom. He was watching her. And in his gaze she saw something that made her heart stop. A plan. The slightest nod toward the darkness behind the barn. Clara understood. She just had to buy him time. All right, she said. You win. The Reverend's eyebrows rose. What? I said you win. Clara stepped forward, hands raised. Give me the papers. I'll sign. Mama, no, Samuel shouted. Hush, baby. Clara's voice was steel-wrapped in velvet. Sometimes you have to know when you're beaten. She walked toward the Reverend, each step measured, each step buying seconds. The Reverend watched her with greedy eyes, triumph in every line of his face. I knew you'd see reason. I'm seeing plenty. Clara reached for the papers, and behind the ruined barn a shadow moved. Tom, flanking them. Clara's fingers touched the papers. Just sign on the bottom, the Reverend said. Nice and... The first shot cracked through the air. One of the Reverend's men went down. Chaos exploded. Clara threw herself at the Reverend, knocking him off balance. The papers scattered. She drove her knee into his stomach, heard him gasp. "Run!" she screamed to the children. "Run!" Samuel was already moving. He grabbed the twins, shoved them toward the house. Mary Catherine had Joseph. Ruth was dragging Daniel. Benjamin stumbled, but kept going. More shots, shouts, the thunder of hooves. Clara clawed at the Reverend's face. He swung, caught her across the cheek. Stars exploded. But she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. "You think you can take everything from me?" She hit him again. "You think I survived this long to give up now?" The Reverend scrambled back, fear in his eyes now. "You're insane." "No." Clara stood over him, blood on her lip, fire in her heart. "I'm a mother." She heard Tom's voice behind her. "Clara, get down." She dropped. A shot whistled over her head, and the Reverend screamed. When it was over, 3 of the Reverend's men lay wounded. 2 had fled into the night. Sheriff Dawson was on his knees, hands raised, begging for mercy, and Reverend Whitfield sat in the dirt clutching his shoulder where Tom's bullet had torn through. "You'll hang for this," he gasped. "Both of you." Tom walked over to him, calm, cold. "Maybe." He crouched down, got right in the Reverend's face. "But you tried to hurt my family, and if you ever come near them again, if you even think about them, I won't aim for your shoulder." The Reverend's face went white. "Do we understand each other?" A jerky nod. "Good." Tom stood, looked at the sheriff. "Get him out of here. Get all of them out. And if I see any of you on my land again, I won't give warnings." The sheriff scrambled to obey. Within minutes they were gone, horses disappearing into the darkness. Clara stood in the yard shaking. Tom came to her, pulled her close. "It's over," he said. "It's over." But Clara wasn't sure. She looked at the house where her children huddled, at the burned barn, at the blood on the snow. It didn't feel over. It felt like something had just begun. The night after the attack, nobody slept. Clara sat in the kitchen, Joseph asleep against her chest, watching the darkness through the window. Every shadow looked like a threat. Every creak of the house sounded like footsteps. Tom walked the perimeter until his legs gave out. Then he sat on the porch with his rifle across his knees, watching the road. The children huddled together in the big bedroom, too scared to close their eyes. When dawn finally broke gray and cold, Clara felt like she'd aged 10 years. "We can't live like this," she told Tom, waiting for them to come back. "They won't come back, not yet." "How do you know?" Tom's face was haggard, exhausted. "Because I put a bullet in their leader. They're scared now, but scared don't last forever." Clara set Joseph in his basket, walked to the window. "Then what do we do?" "Run." "Is that what you want?" She thought about it, really thought. "No." The word came out hard, certain. "I'm done running. This is our home now." "Then we fight." "How?" "It's just us against the whole town." Tom was quiet for a moment, then he stood. "Maybe not." Clara turned. "What do you mean?" "There's folks in Bitter Creek who ain't happy with Whitfield. Good folks who keep their heads down because they're scared." His jaw set. "Maybe it's time to give 'em a reason to stand up." "You think they will?" "Only one way to find out." He grabbed his coat. Clara caught his arm. "Tom, be careful." He looked at her, touched her face. "I'll be back before noon. Keep the doors locked. Don't let anyone in but me or Doc Shaw." "I mean it. Be careful." Tom kissed her forehead. "Always am." Then he was gone. Clara watched him ride until he disappeared into the gray morning. Samuel appeared in the doorway. "Where's he going?" "Into town. Alone after what happened. He knows what he's doing." Samuel's face darkened. "Does he?" Clara turned to her son, saw the fear underneath the anger. "Come here." He did not move. "Sam, come here." Slowly he walked toward her. Clara pulled him into a hug. He resisted at first, then collapsed against her. "I'm scared, Mama." "I know. Last night when they had us, I thought we were going to die. All of us. But we didn't. What if they come back? What if next time? Then we fight." Clara pulled back, looked her son in the eyes. "We fight like we've been fighting since your pa died. We don't give up. We don't give in." What if it ain't enough? Clara thought about all the miles they'd walked, all the doors that had closed, all the nights she'd gone to bed hungry so her children could eat. "It has to be enough," she said quietly, "because it's all we got." Samuel was quiet for a long moment, then he nodded. "I'll check on the others." "Good boy." He started toward the stairs, then stopped. "Mama?" "Yeah. I'm glad you married him. Tom, I mean." Samuel's voice was rough. "I wasn't sure at first, but he's a good man. He fought for us." Clara's eyes burned. "Yeah, baby, he did." Samuel nodded once more, then disappeared up the stairs. Clara stood alone in the kitchen, heart aching. A good man. She hadn't thought she'd ever find one again. Tom rode into Bitter Creek with his hands visible and his rifle on his back. The town was quiet. Too quiet. Faces appeared in windows, then vanished. Doors that had been open slammed shut. He pulled up in front of the general store. Dismounted slow. The door was locked. Tom knocked. "Henry, it's Tom Brennan. I ain't here for trouble." Silence. "Henry, I know you're in there. I just want to talk." More silence. Then the click of a lock. The door opened a crack. Henry Marsh, the store owner, peered out. His face was pale. "You shouldn't be here, Tom. Not after last night." "I need supplies. Food, blankets, building materials. My barn's gone." I can't help you." "Can't or won't." Henry's eyes darted up the street. "Whitfield's got people watching. Anyone who helps you will what? Get their barn burned too. Get guns pointed at their children." Henry flinched. "That's what he did, Henry. Held my wife's children at gunpoint. 8 young'uns, the youngest, not yet 2 years old." Tom's voice dropped. "What kind of man does that?" He said she was dangerous, that she brought bad luck. Bad luck she's a widow who walked 3 days through a blizzard to keep her babies alive. That ain't bad luck. That's strength." Henry looked down, shame on his face. "I know Whitfield's been preaching against us," Tom continued. "I know he's got folks scared. But you knew my father, Henry. Knew what kind of man he was. You think he'd stand for this? His son threatened his neighbors, terrorized." Henry's jaw worked. "Your pa was a good man." "I'm trying to be one too, but I can't do it alone." For a long moment, Henry didn't move. The silence stretched. Then he opened the door wider. "Come inside, quick before someone sees." Tom stepped into the store. It was dark, dusty, familiar. "I can give you some supplies," Henry said quietly. "But I can't do it open. Whitfield would—" "I understand." "Do you—" Henry turned to face him. "You don't know what it's been like. Since Whitfield came, he's turned this town inside out. Anyone who questions him, anyone who speaks up. Bad things happen. Fires, accidents, people disappear." Tom's blood went cold. Disappear. Old man Crawford spoke against Whitfield at a town meeting 6 months back. Next week he was gone. House empty. Nobody knows where he went. And nobody asked. Henry's laugh was bitter. "Who would we ask? Whitfield's got the sheriff in his pocket. Got half the town convinced he's doing God's work. And the other half, scared, like me." Henry shook his head. "I'm sorry, Tom. I really am. But I got a wife. Children. I can't risk—" "I ain't asking you to risk anything. Just asking you to help me survive the winter." Henry was quiet for a long moment. Then he started pulling things from shelves: flour, salt, dried meat, Blankets. Take what you need. Pay me when you can. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Henry paused. There's something you should know. Whitfield's been having meetings, secret ones at the church after dark, planning something. Planning what? I don't know, but I heard talk of cleansing, making the town pure again. Henry's face was grim. Whatever he's got planned, it ain't good. Tom loaded the supplies into his saddlebags. His mind was racing. How many people in town feel like you do? More than you'd think. But they're scared, Tom. Whitfield's got power, real power. Power only works if people believe in it. Easy to say, harder to act on. Tom finished loading, turned to face Henry. What if they had a reason to act? What if they saw that Whitfield could be beaten? Could he be? I shot him last night. He bled like any other man. Something flickered in Henry's eyes. Hope, maybe. You really think we could stop him? I think we have to try. Because if we don't, he'll never stop. He'll keep burning barns and threatening children and making people disappear until there's nobody left to stand against him. Henry looked at the floor, at his hands, at the shelves full of goods he'd spent his life accumulating. My father built this store, he said quietly, 60 years ago. He used to say that a man's got to stand for something or he'll fall for anything. Smart man. I never understood what he meant. Until now. Henry looked up, met Tom's eyes. Tonight, the old Miller barn, you know it. I know it. Meet me there at midnight. I'll bring some folks, people who feel like I do. He paused. But Tom, if this goes wrong, if Whitfield finds out, then we'll face it together. Tom held out his hand. That's the only way any of us make it through. Henry took his hand, shook it. Midnight. Midnight. Tom rode out of town with his supplies and something more valuable. Hope. Clara was waiting on the porch when he returned, her face flooded with relief. I was starting to worry. Told you I'd be back by noon. Tom dismounted, started unloading. Got supplies. And something else. What? A chance. He looked at her. There's good people in that town, Clara. People who don't believe what Whitfield's selling. They've just been too scared to speak up. And now they've got a reason. Tom carried the supplies inside. I'm meeting them tonight, at the old Miller barn. Clara followed him. Is that safe? Probably not, but it's necessary. Tom. He set down the supplies, took her hands. I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But we can't do this alone, Clara. We need allies, people who'll stand with us when Whitfield comes back, and he will come back. Clara looked at their joined hands, at the ring on her finger. Then I'm coming with you. No. Tom. I need you here, with the children. His voice was firm but gentle. If something happens to me, they need their mother. And if something happens to you, I need to be there. Clara. I ain't some delicate flower, Tom Brennan. I've survived things that would kill most men. I can handle a meeting in a barn. I know you can. That ain't the point. Then what is... Tom was quiet for a moment. The point is that those children upstairs have already lost one father. I won't risk them losing both their parents in one night. Clara's throat tightened. You ain't gonna die. Probably not. But if I do... He touched her face. They need you more than they need me. You know that. Clara wanted to argue, wanted to fight, but she looked at his eyes and saw the truth. You come back to me, she whispered. You hear me. You come back. I will. Promise me. I promise. He kissed her, slow, deep, like he was memorizing the taste of her. Then he pulled back. I should check on the children. Tell them what's happening. I'll do it. Clara wiped her eyes. You rest. It's gonna be a long night. Tom nodded, headed for the bedroom. Clara watched him go, her heart heavy with fear. Please, she prayed silently. Please let him come back. The day passed slow. Clara kept the children busy with chores, trying to distract them from the tension that hung in the air. But they knew. Children always knew. Is Mr. Tom going to fight the bad men again? Daniel asked at dinner. He's going to talk to some people, Clara said carefully. Try to find friends who can help us. What if he doesn't find any? Then we'll figure something else out. Ruth stabbed at her food. We should just leave. Go somewhere nobody knows us. We tried that, remember? Samuel's voice was sharp. Every town we went to, doors closed. At least here we got walls and food. We also got people trying to kill us. Ruth! Clara's voice was warning. It's true. That preacher man would have shot us all last night if Mr. Tom hadn't. That's enough. Ruth fell silent, but her eyes burned with anger. Clara looked around the table, at her children's faces, at the fear and exhaustion that had become their constant companions. Listen to me, she said. All of you. I know this is hard. I know you're scared. I'm scared too. You don't look scared, Eliza whispered. That's because I've had a lot of practice hiding it. Clara reached across the table, touched her daughter's hand. Being scared don't mean you're weak. It means you understand what's at stake. And right now, what's at stake is our family. Our home. Mr. Tom's home, Ruth muttered. Our home, Clara repeated firmly. The minute we walked through that door, it became ours. Tom said so himself. Why does he want us? Ezra's quiet voice. He rarely spoke. When he did, people listened. We ain't his blood. Clara thought about how to answer. About all the complicated truth wrapped up in that simple question. Sometimes blood ain't what makes a family, she said finally. Sometimes it's choice. Tom chose us. He chose to help when nobody else would. He chose to fight for us when everybody else turned away. Like Pa chose to go to war. Benjamin's voice was thin but steady. Clara's heart clenched. Your Pa made a lot of choices. Some of them were hard, some of them hurt us. But he never stopped loving you. None of you. Then why'd he leave? Because he thought he was doing the right thing. And maybe he was. I don't know. Clara looked at her children, these small wounded souls who had lost so much. What I do know is that Tom ain't leaving. He's here, fighting for us, and that matters. Samuel cleared his throat. She's right. Everyone looked at him. I know I've been hard on him, didn't trust him. Maybe I still don't, not all the way. He paused. But last night when those men had us, Tom could have run, could have saved himself. Instead, he came for us, fought for us. He shot that preacher man, Daniel said a little awestruck. Yeah, he did. Samuel looked at Clara. That ain't something you do for strangers. That's something you do for family. Clara's eyes burned. Then we're agreed, she said. This is our home. Tom is our family, and we fight for both. One by one the children nodded, even Ruth. Good. Clara stood. Now finish your dinner and get to bed. Tomorrow we start rebuilding. After the children were asleep, Clara found Tom on the porch, staring at the charred remains of the barn. You should rest. Can't. Try. He shook his head. Mine's too full. Clara sat beside him, took his hand. What are you thinking about? Everything. Nothing. He paused. Mags used to say I thought too loud. She could always tell when something was eating at me. She sounds smart. She was. Smarter than me, that's for sure. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. She would have liked you. Yeah. Yeah. You're alike in some ways. Strong, stubborn. Don't take no nonsense. Clara laughed softly. That's me. No nonsense, Clara. Tom turned to look at her, his face serious. I need to tell you something, in case tonight goes wrong. Tom, just listen, please. Clara fell silent. When Mags and Lily died, I wanted to die too. For a long time I prayed for it, begged God to take me. His voice was rough. But he didn't. And I couldn't figure out why. Why I survived when they didn't. What I was supposed to do with all these years I didn't want. Tom, you don't have to. I do. He squeezed her hand. I spent 7 years asking that question. And then you showed up. You and those 8 kids half frozen on a church step. And I finally understood. Clara's throat was tight. Understood what? That I was supposed to wait. For you. His eyes were bright. I know that sounds crazy. I know we barely know each other. But Clara, when I look at you, when I see those children, I feel like I'm finally where I'm supposed to be. Clara couldn't speak. Tears were streaming down her face. So whatever happens tonight, I need you to know that. Tom touched her cheek, wiped away her tears. You gave me a reason to live again. And I'll spend whatever time I got left making sure you never regret that. Clara kissed him, hard, desperate. Come back to me, she whispered against his lips. Promise me again. I promise. Say it like you mean it. I promise, Clara McAllister Brennan. I will come back to you. She held on to him for a long moment, then let go. Go, before I change my mind and tie you to a chair. Tom almost smiled. Might not be so bad. Go. He stood, grabbed his rifle. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone but me. I know. If I'm not back by dawn, you will be. He looked at her one last time, then mounted his horse and rode into the darkness. Clara watched until she couldn't see him anymore. Then she went inside, locked the doors, and began to pray. The Miller barn was 3 miles out of town, abandoned since old Miller died 5 years back. Tom arrived early, tied his horse in the trees, and waited in the shadows. One by one they came. Henry, from the general store with 2 other men, Tom recognized. Then, a woman, the schoolteacher, Miss Abigail Porter, her face grim with determination. Then more. A farmer, a blacksmith, a widow with nothing left to lose. By midnight, there were 15 people in that barn. 15 people who had decided they'd had enough. Thank you for coming, Tom said. I know it wasn't easy. Easy ain't got nothing to do with it, the blacksmith growled. His name was Big Joe, and his arms were like tree trunks. Whitfield burned my cousin's place last spring, said it was an accident. We all knew better. My daughter, the widow said quietly. She refused Whitfield's advances. Next week she was run out of town, called a harlot, a witch. Her voice shook. She was 16 years old. Tom felt sick. How long has this been going on? 2 years, maybe 3. Henry shook his head. It started small. A sermon here, a warning there. By the time we realized what was happening, he had half the town in his pocket. And the sheriff, bought and paid for. Whitfield's got something on him. Gambling debts, I heard. Miss Porter spoke up. The real question is, what do we do about it? We stand together, Tom said. That's the only way. Whitfield's power comes from fear, from keeping people isolated. If we show the town that he can be opposed, that there's folks willing to fight back. He'll destroy us, someone muttered. He'll try. Tom looked around the room, at the fear, the hope, the desperate need for something to believe in. But there's more of us than there are of him. There always has been. We just forgot. Pretty words, Big Joe said. But what's the plan? Tom had been thinking about this all day. The Reverend's wounded. He'll be laid up for at least a week, maybe more. That's our window. We use it to organize, talk to people, find out who else is willing to stand with us. And then we take back our town, legally, officially. We call a town meeting, Air all of Whitfield's crimes in public. The barn burnings, the disappearances, the threats. Everything. He'll never allow a meeting like that, Henry said. He won't have a choice. Not if enough people show up. Tom's jaw set. This is still America. We still got laws. We still got rights. Whitfield wants us to forget that. But I haven't. Have you? Silence. Then Big Joe stepped forward. I haven't. He held out his hand. I'm with you, Brennan. One by one the others followed, hands extended, promises made. By the time the meeting ended, Tom had 15 allies, 15 people willing to risk everything for a chance at freedom. It wasn't an army, but it was a start. Tom was mounting his horse when Henry caught his arm. There's something else you should know. What? Henry's face was pale. Whitfield's been sending telegrams to someone back east. I don't know who, but the messages are coded. Whatever he's planning, he's got help. What kind of help? I don't know, but Tom... Henry swallowed. Be careful. This is bigger than we thought. Tom nodded. Thanks for the warning. He rode home as fast as the darkness would allow. The house was quiet when he arrived. He slipped inside, locked the door behind him. Clara was waiting in the kitchen. She stood the moment she saw him. You're back. Told you I would be. She was in his arms before he could say another word, holding on like she'd never let go. It went well, he said into her hair. 15 people, ready to fight. Clara pulled back. 15? More to come, word spreading. He paused. But there's something else. Henry says Whitfield's been contacting someone back east, sending coded telegrams. Clara's face went pale. What does that mean? I don't know, but we need to find out. He cupped her face. Tomorrow. Tonight we rest. Can you rest, I mean? Tom looked at her. At this woman who had become his whole world in a matter of weeks. With you. Yeah. I think I can. They went to bed together, and for the first time in years, Tom slept without nightmares. But somewhere in the darkness, wheels were turning, and the real storm was just beginning. 2 days later, Clara was hanging laundry when she heard the horses. Her blood went cold. Not again. But when she turned, it wasn't the Reverend's men she saw. It was a stagecoach, fine and polished, completely out of place on the muddy road, and behind it a dozen riders in matching dark coats. Tom emerged from the house, rifle ready. Stay back, he said to Clara. Take the children inside. Tom. Now. She grabbed Daniel and the twins, herded them toward the house. But she stopped at the door watching. The stagecoach pulled up, the door opened, and a man stepped out. He was tall, silver-haired, dressed in clothes that cost more than the ranch was worth. His face was cold, handsome in a reptilian way. Clara's heart stopped. She knew that face. She'd seen it once before, years ago, at William's funeral. It was William's oldest brother, James McAllister, the man who had stolen everything they owned. Good morning, James said, his voice smooth as silk. I'm looking for my sister-in-law. I believe she's been living here. Tom's grip tightened on the rifle. What do you want? Only what's rightfully mine. James smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. The children. They're McAllisters. They belong with family. Clara stepped out onto the porch. Her whole body was shaking, but her voice was steady. They're not going anywhere with you. James turned to look at her. His smile widened. Clara, you're looking well. Better than I expected given your circumstances. Get off my land. Your land? James laughed. Oh, that's rich. You don't own anything, Clara. You never did. William's estate passed to me when he died, including any property he might have acquired. This ain't William's property, Tom said. It's mine. And who are you? Her husband. Something flickered across James's face. Surprise, then calculation. I see. How convenient. He pulled papers from his coat. "Nevertheless, I have legal documents giving me custody of William's children. They'll be coming with me." "Over my dead body," Clara said. "That can be arranged." The riders behind him shifted. Hands went to weapons. Tom raised his rifle. "You might want to rethink that, friend. You're outnumbered." James looked around, saw nothing but a burned barn and a lone man with a gun. Outnumbered. By what? A click from the left. Big Joe stepped out from behind the house shotgun ready. A click from the right. Henry with 2 others. More clicks. From the trees, from behind the fence, from the road behind the stagecoach. 15 people. All armed. All ready. James's face went white. "This is absurd. I have the law on my side." "Maybe back east," Tom said. "Out here we make our own law. And our law says you don't threaten women and children. I'll bring the territorial marshal, the army if I have to." "You do that." Tom's voice was ice. "And when they get here, they'll find a town full of people ready to testify about the man you've been working with, the Reverend Whitfield, and all the crimes he's committed in your name." James's face went gray. "I don't know what you're talking about." "The telegrams, the coded messages, the money you've been sending to fund his operations." Tom stepped closer. "Did you really think nobody would find out that you could burn and threaten and destroy from 1,000 miles away and nobody would notice? You have no proof." "Don't I?" Tom smiled. It wasn't pleasant. "Henry, show him." Henry stepped forward, held up a handful of papers. "Western Union keeps copies of everything," he said. "Amazing what you can find when you know where to look." James's face twisted. "Those are stolen. They won't hold up in court." "Maybe not, but they'll hold up in the newspapers." Tom's voice hardened. "How do you think your fancy friends back east will react when they read about James McAllister, respectable businessman, funding a reign of terror in Wyoming, hiring a corrupt preacher to burn out homesteaders and threaten children?" James said nothing, but his hands were shaking. "Here's how this is going to work," Tom continued. "You're going to get back in your fancy coach. You're going to ride away, and you're never going to bother Clara or her children again. And if I don't, then these telegrams go to every newspaper between here and New York. Your reputation, your business, your whole life gone." Tom shrugged. "Your choice." James stood frozen. Then slowly his shoulders sagged. "This isn't over," he said quietly. "She was nothing when William married her. She'll be nothing again." Clara stepped forward, stood right in front of him. "I was never nothing," she said. "I was a mother, a wife, a survivor, and now I'm a woman with a family who loves her and a town that stands behind her." She paused. "What do you have, James Money Power? What good does it do when everyone can see who you really are?" James's face contorted with rage, but he had no answer. "Get off my land," Clara said, "and don't ever come back." For a long moment, James didn't move. Then he turned and walked to his coach, climbed in, slammed the door. "Go," he snapped to the driver. The coach lurched forward. The riders followed. Clara watched them until they disappeared over the hill. Then she collapsed against Tom, all the strength draining out of her. "It's over," she whispered. "It's really over." "Yeah." Tom held her close. "It is." Behind them, the children had gathered on the porch. Samuel and Mary Catherine and Ruth and Benjamin, the twins. Daniel clutching Joseph. Her family, whole, safe. Clara looked at them through tears. "Come here," she said. "All of you." They ran to her, wrapped their arms around her, around Tom. And for the first time in years, Clara let herself believe in happy endings. Spring came slow that year. The snow melted in patches, revealing brown grass and mud and the blackened bones of the old barn. But beside those ruins, something new was rising. The whole town had come to help rebuild. Clara stood on the porch watching men she'd never met haul lumber across the yard. Women brought food, blankets, tools. Children chased each other through the mud, their laughter mixing with the sound of hammers and saws. "Never thought I'd see this," she said softly. Tom came up behind her, slipped his arm around her waist. "People are good mostly. They just need someone to show 'em how. You showed 'em. We showed 'em. Together." Clara leaned into him, still not quite believing this was her life now. It had been 3 weeks since James McAllister rode away in his fancy coach. 3 weeks since Reverend Whitfield was arrested and taken to the territorial capital to face charges. 3 weeks since the people of Bitter Creek had finally stood up and said, "Enough." The changes came fast after that. Sheriff Dawson resigned. A new man took his place, a quiet farmer named Robert Cole, who'd been at that first meeting in the Miller barn. The church got a new minister too, a young man named Thomas Gray, who preached about love and forgiveness instead of fear and damnation. And the doors that had slammed in Clara's face, they opened, one by one. "Mrs. Brennan." Clara turned. Mrs. Marsh Henry's wife was hurrying toward her with a basket in her arms. "I brought fresh bread, and some preserves from last fall. I hope it's not too forward. I just thought—" "It's not forward at all." Clara smiled. "Thank you." Mrs. Marsh hesitated. Then, "I'm sorry. For before. When you first came to town, I should have done more. Should have said something." "You were scared." "That's not an excuse." "No, but it's human." Clara took the basket. "We're all human, Mrs. Marsh. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do after." Mrs. Marsh's eyes filled with tears. "You're very kind." "I'm very tired," Clara said honestly. "Too tired to hold grudges. Takes too much energy." Mrs. Marsh laughed, wiped her eyes. "I should help with the food. The men will be hungry soon." She hurried off. Clara watched her go. "That was generous of you," Tom said. "She meant well. Still, would have been easy to be bitter." Clara thought about it, about all the bitterness she'd carried for so long. The anger at William for dying, at his brothers for stealing, at the world for being cruel. "I'm done being bitter," she said. "It doesn't change anything, doesn't bring back what we lost, only poisons what we have." Tom turned her to face him. His eyes were soft. "When did you get so wise?" "Somewhere between the blizzard and the burning barn, I reckon." He laughed, kissed her forehead. "I love you, Clara Brennan." The words hit her like sunlight after a long winter. They hadn't said it yet, not like that, not plain and simple. "Say it again." "I love you." Again. "I love you." He cupped her face. "I love you. I love you. I'll say it as many times as you need to hear it." Clara's eyes burned. "I love you too." "Yeah. Yeah." She laughed through her tears. "Took me by surprise, if I'm honest. Didn't think I had room for it anymore. But there it is." Tom pulled her close, held her tight. "There it is," he agreed. Behind them, someone cleared their throat. They turned to find Samuel standing there looking awkward. "Sorry to interrupt. The new barn's almost framed. Big Joe wants to know if you want the loft the same size as the old one." Tom nodded. "Same size is fine. Tell him I'll be there in a minute." Samuel started to go, then stopped. "Mr. Brennan." "Tom, we talked about this." "Tom." Samuel shifted his weight. "I just wanted to say thank you. For everything. For fighting for us. For staying." Tom's face softened. "You don't have to thank me." "Yeah, I do. Because not a lot of people would have done what you did. Most men would have cut their losses. Let us go." Samuel's voice was rough. "You didn't. And I'm grateful." He turned and walked away before Tom could respond. Clara watched her son go, saw the way he held himself now. Taller, steadier, not carrying the weight of the world alone anymore. "He's gonna be a good man," Tom said quietly. He already is. The barn raising took 3 days. By the end, the new structure stood tall and solid, fresh lumber gleaming in the spring sun. It was bigger than the old one. Better. A sign of what they were building together. That night, there was a celebration. Tables set up in the yard loaded with food. Fiddle music floating through the air. Children dancing in the firelight. Clara sat on the porch steps, watching her babies. Daniel was chasing the twins through the crowd, all 3 of them shrieking with laughter. Ruth was deep in conversation with the blacksmith's daughter, finally finding a friend her own age. Mary Catherine was helping serve food, her face glowing with purpose. Benjamin sat by the fire, color in his cheeks for the first time in months, listening to Big Joe tell tall tales. And Samuel was dancing, with a girl from town, a pretty thing with brown curls and a shy smile. Samuel's face was red, his feet clumsy, but he was laughing, actually laughing. Clara's heart swelled so big she thought it might burst. Beautiful, ain't it? She turned. Doc Shaw was settling onto the step beside her, a cup of cider in his hand. More beautiful than I ever dreamed. You deserve it, all of it. Clara shook her head. I don't know about deserve. I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. That's all any of us can do. That's more than most people manage. Doc Shaw took a sip of his cider. I've been doctoring in this territory for 30 years. Seen a lot of families come and go. Most of them break. The land breaks them, or the weather, or just life. But you... He looked at her. You didn't break. Came close. Coming close don't count. Only finishing. He raised his cup. To finishing. Clara smiled. To finishing. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the celebration. Can I ask you something? Doc Shaw said finally. You can ask. What kept you going in the darkest moments when everything seemed lost? What made you keep fighting? Clara thought about it. About all the nights she'd wanted to give up. All the mornings she'd forced herself to stand. Them, she said, nodding toward her children. Always them. When I wanted to lie down and die, I'd look at their faces and think they need me. They're counting on me. I can't let them down. That's love. That's motherhood. Clara paused. But it's more than that, too. It's stubbornness, I guess. Pure, cussed stubbornness. The world kept telling me to quit, and something in me just refused. Doc Shaw chuckled. Tom was right about you. What did he say? Called you the stubbornest woman in 3 territories. He smiled. Said it like it was the highest compliment he could give. Clara laughed. That sounds like him. Across the yard, Tom was talking with Henry and some of the other men who'd stood with them. His face was animated, hands moving as he spoke, so different from the closed-off man she'd met that first night. He caught her looking, smiled. She smiled back. You know, Doc Shaw said, I wasn't sure about this at first. You two, I mean. Seemed too fast, too convenient. And now? Now I think maybe some things are just meant to be. 2 broken people finding each other at exactly the right moment. He finished his cider. Maybe that's what God does, puts us where we need to be even when we can't see why. Clara thought about that. About the chain of events that had brought her here. William's death, the brother's betrayal, the blizzard, the closed doors, every awful thing leading to this moment, this place, this family. Maybe you're right, she said. Maybe it was all meant to be. Or maybe you just got lucky. Clara laughed. Maybe both. The celebration wound down late. Families drifted home calling goodbyes, promising to visit. The children collapsed one by one, carried inside by Tom and Samuel, tucked into beds with full bellies and tired smiles. Finally, it was just Clara and Tom sitting on the porch in the darkness. Hell of a night, Tom said. Hell of a few weeks. Hell of a life. Clara leaned against him. felt his arm come around her. I keep waiting, she admitted. For the other shoe to drop. For something to go wrong. Maybe nothing will. That'd be a first. Tom was quiet for a moment. Then, you know what I've learned? Bad things happen. They just do. Can't stop them, can't predict them. All you can do is enjoy the good times when they come. Is this a good time? Clara. He turned to face her. This is the best time of my life. Right here, right now, with you. Her throat tightened. Even with 8 extra mouths to feed, especially with that, I spent 7 years in an empty house, 7 years of silence. Now there's noise and chaos and children everywhere and I... His voice cracked. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Clara kissed him, soft and slow. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? For what you lost. For Mags and Lily. For all those empty years. Don't be sorry. Tom touched her face. Everything that happened, the good and the bad, it all led here. To you. If I had to live through it all again to get to this moment, I would. Without hesitation. Clara's eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve you. Funny. I was thinking the same thing about you. They sat together in the darkness, listening to the night sounds. Crickets singing, an owl hooting in the distance, the soft breathing of children asleep inside. Tom. Yeah. I want to stay here forever. Then stay. I mean it. No more running, no more looking over my shoulder. I want to put down roots so deep nothing can ever pull them up. Tom took her hand, pressed it to his chest. Feel that. His heartbeat, strong and steady. That's yours now. Has been since the moment I saw you on that church step. And it'll be yours till the day it stops beating. Clara closed her eyes. Let the words wash over her. Home. She was finally home. The weeks turned to months. Spring melted into summer. The ranch transformed. New fences went up. A garden took root behind the house, Clara and the children tending it each morning. Chickens arrived, then a milk cow, then a litter of puppies that Daniel fell instantly in love with. And in the paddock, a new life emerged. The mare gave birth on a warm June night. Clara and Tom and all 8 children crowded around watching in wonder as a tiny foal struggled to its feet. She's beautiful, Mary Catherine breathed. He, Tom corrected. It's a colt. What are we going to name him? Daniel asked. That's Clara's choice. Tom looked at her. She was the one who convinced me to save the mare that night. Clara studied the foal, his wobbly legs, his curious eyes, the way he nuzzled against his mother searching for milk. Hope, she said. We'll call him Hope. Tom smiled. Perfect. Summer brought more changes. Benjamin's cough faded until it was just a memory. Ruth made friends, real friends, and stopped looking at the world like it was about to attack her. The twins flourished their personalities, emerging Ezra, quiet and thoughtful, Eliza bold and curious. And Samuel. Samuel fell in love. Her name was Sarah Cole, daughter of the new sheriff. She had kind eyes and a quick laugh and a way of looking at Samuel that made him stand up straighter. You like her? Clara said one evening, watching Samuel get ready to go calling. I guess. You guess. Samuel's face went red. Fine, I like her. A lot. Happy. Very. Clara straightened his collar. Your father would be proud. Samuel went still. You think so? I know so. Look at you, Sam. Strong, kind, taking care of your family. That's exactly the man he hoped you'd become. Samuel's eyes glistened. I miss him sometimes. Is that wrong? To miss him but also be happy here? It's not wrong. It's human. Clara cupped his face. We can hold both things at once. The grief and the joy. The past and the present. They don't cancel each other out. Samuel nodded. swallowed hard. Thanks, Mama. Go on. Don't keep your girl waiting. He headed out the door, and Clara watched him go with a full heart. Her boy. Not a boy anymore. A man. Fall arrived with golden leaves and cool nights. The harvest came in better than Tom had hoped. The root cellar was full, the barn stocked the house warm. One evening, as the sun set orange over the mountains, Tom gathered everyone in the parlor. "Got something to say," he announced. The children looked at each other nervously. Clara felt her own heart quicken. "It's nothing bad," Tom added quickly. "Just important." He cleared his throat, looked at the faces around him. When Clara and her children came to me, I was a broken man, living in a broken house, going through the motions of life without really living. He paused, gathered himself. These past months have changed everything. I've watched this family grow, watched you kids become strong and brave and kind, watched Clara turn this house into a home. His voice thickened. "I'm not your blood father. I know that. I could never replace William, and I wouldn't try. But I love you. Every single one of you. Like you were my own." Daniel's hand shot up. "Does this mean you're officially our PA now?" Tom laughed. A wet sound. "If you'll have me." "Yes." Daniel launched himself at Tom, wrapping his arms around his waist. "Yes, yes, yes." The other children followed. Even Ruth, who pretended she wasn't crying. Even Samuel, who had to duck his head to hide his emotions. Clara stood apart, watching her family embrace. Tom looked at her over the children's heads. "Come here," he said. She went. They stood together, wrapped in small arms, surrounded by love. "Thank you," Clara whispered. "For what?" "For seeing us. For choosing us. Easiest choice I ever made." Winter came again, but this time it felt different. The house was warm, the children were safe, the pantry was full, and Clara was happy. Actually, truly happy. The kind of happy she'd forgotten existed. On Christmas Eve, they gathered around the tree Tom and the boys had cut down. Candles flickered on the branches. The smell of pine filled the air. "Before we open presents," Clara said, "I want to tell you all something." The children went quiet. "A year ago, we were on the road, freezing, starving. Every door we knocked on slammed in our faces." Her voice wavered. "I didn't know if we'd survive. Didn't know if I could keep you safe." She looked at each of her children in turn. "But we did survive, because we had each other, because we didn't give up, and because one man," she looked at Tom, "one good man opened his door when everyone else closed theirs." Tom's eyes were bright. "So tonight, I want to give thanks. For this home, for this family, for the chance to start over." Clara raised her cup of cider. "To new beginnings." "To new beginnings," everyone echoed. They drank, they laughed, they opened presents and sang carols and ate until they couldn't eat anymore. And later, when the children were asleep and the fire was burning low, Clara and Tom sat together on the couch. "Happy?" he asked. "So happy it scares me." "Why scared?" "Because it feels too good, like it can't possibly last." Tom pulled her closer. "Listen to me. I can't promise nothing bad will ever happen again. Life don't work that way. But I can promise that whatever comes, we'll face it together. You and me and those 8 wonderful, impossible, beautiful children upstairs." Clara smiled. "They are pretty wonderful, aren't they? They're perfect, just like their mama. I'm not perfect. You are to me." She kissed him, long and slow. "Tom. Yeah. I'm glad I knocked on that church door, even though they didn't open it. I'm glad I walked into that saloon. I'm glad I was stubborn and desperate and refused to give up. Me too. Because if any of those things had gone different, don't." Tom pressed his finger to her lips. "Don't think about what could have been. Think about what is." Clara looked around the room, at the tree, the fire, the the stockings hanging by the hearth, each one stitched with a child's name. And above the mantel where Tom had hung it just that morning, a new sign carved from wood. The Brennan family. Not the McAllisters anymore. Not outsiders or orphans or charity cases. Brennans. A family. A real family. "Merry Christmas, Clara Brennan," Tom said. "Merry Christmas, Tom Brennan." Outside snow began to fall, soft and white and clean. A fresh start, a new chapter, a home. Spring returned, and with it, new life. The mare had another foal. The garden burst with color. And Clara, standing in the sunshine with her hand on her belly, had news of her own. "You sure?" Tom's voice was barely a whisper. "Doc Shaw confirmed it this morning." Tom's face went through about 6 emotions in 3 seconds. Shock, joy, terror, wonder, love. More love. "We're having a baby. We're having a baby." He let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. Picked her up and spun her around. "Put me down, you fool, I'll be sick." He set her down gently. His hands shook. "A baby. Our baby. Yours and mine." Clara took his hands, placed them on her stomach. A fresh start. New life from new love. Tom sank to his knees, pressed his forehead to her belly. "Hey there, little one," he whispered. "I'm your pa, and I'm going to spend every day of my life making sure you know how loved you are." Clara ran her fingers through his hair. "The children are going to be thrilled. Samuel's going to faint. Ruth's going to demand it's a girl. Daniel's going to want to name it after one of his puppies." Clara laughed. "Probably." Tom looked up at her, his face wet with tears. "Thank you." "For what?" "For giving me another chance. At life. At love. At being a father." His voice broke. "I didn't think I'd ever get this again. Didn't think I deserved it." Clara knelt down beside him, took his face in her hands. "You deserve every good thing, Tom Brennan. Every single one. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you know that." They held each other in the spring sunshine, surrounded by everything they'd built together. The house that had once been empty. The barn that had risen from ashes. The family that had grown from strangers into something unbreakable. And inside Clara, a new heartbeat. A new hope. A new beginning. She thought about the road that had brought her here. All the pain and loss and fear. All the closed doors and cold nights and moments when giving up seemed like the only option. She thought about William, who had loved her in his broken way. About his brothers who had tried to destroy her. About the Reverend and the Sheriff and all the people who had looked at her and seen nothing but a burden. They were wrong. All of them. Because she wasn't a burden. She was a survivor. A mother. A wife. A woman who had walked through fire and come out the other side. And now she was something else too. She was home. Not just in this house on this land with this man. Home inside herself. Home in her own skin. Home in the knowledge that she had faced the worst the world could throw at her and refused to break. Clara stood up, helped Tom to his feet. "Come on," she said. "Let's go tell the children." They walked toward the house together, hand in hand. Behind them, the sun climbed higher. Ahead of them, the future stretched out, unknown, uncertain, full of possibility. And Clara walked into it without fear, because she finally understood what she'd been searching for all along. It wasn't safety. It wasn't security. It wasn't even love, though she had found all of those things. It was belonging. Belonging to a place, to a family, to herself. And now, at last, she had it. The door opened. The children came running. Tom lifted Daniel onto his shoulders. Samuel ruffled the twins' hair. Ruth demanded to know what was going on. Mary Catherine smiled that knowing smile. Benjamin laughed his quiet laugh. And Clara stood in the middle of it all, surrounded by noise and chaos and love. Her family, her home, her heart. They had called her worthless, called her a burden, said no one would ever want a widow with so many children. But a cowboy had seen her worth when no one else would, and together they had built something beautiful from the ashes of everything they'd lost. Clara looked at Tom. Tom looked at Clara, and in that look was everything, every tear, every triumph, every moment of doubt, and every leap of faith. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." Simple words, the truest words, the only words that mattered. Because, in the end, that's what it all came down to. Not the storms they'd weathered, or the enemies they'd defeated. Not the barn they'd rebuilt, or the land they'd claimed. Just love. Stubborn, impossible, unbreakable love. The kind that looked at a frozen widow with 8 starving children and said, "I've been waiting for you." The kind that chose hope when despair would have been easier. The kind that built a home from nothing but faith and determination and the refusal to give up. Clara took Tom's hand. Their children gathered close, and together the Brennan family walked into the light. Home at last, home forever. Home.